What did ancient humans do when it rained all day? Imagine you have not eaten for 2 days. Yesterday, you tracked a herd across the valley, memorized its direction, and planned the perfect route. But before sunrise, the sky turns black. Rain begins hammering the ground. Not a peaceful shower, a freezing storm that continues through the morning, the night, and into the next day. The tracks vanish beneath mud. The river near your shelter rises. Every branch outside is soaked, and the small fire keeping your group alive is slowly dying. Then, somewhere inside the cave, you hear something breathing. Today, rain means closing the windows, making a hot drink, and watching a movie. Thousands of years ago, it was a survival emergency. And strangely, those long days trapped beside a fire may have helped humans create technologies, stories, and traditions that eventually shaped civilization. So, what did ancient humans actually do when it rained all day? First, they tried not to freeze. Humans have no thick fur or waterproof skin. Once clothing and animal hides became soaked, the body could lose heat dangerously fast. Rain also transformed familiar landscapes into traps. Streams became violent rivers, slopes turned to mud, rocky ground became slippery. A twisted ankle could stop someone from hunting, gathering food, or escaping predators. Without medicine, one bad step could become fatal. Even caves were not always safe. Water and mud could rush through their entrances during storms, and humans were not the only creatures searching for somewhere dry. Hyenas, bears, snakes, and large cats also needed shelter. Rain compressed the landscape, pushing humans, predators, and prey toward the same limited spaces. At the center of this dangerous world was one thing more valuable than almost anything else: fire. Evidence shows that humans controlled fire hundreds of thousands of years ago, but preserving an existing fire and creating a new one from nothing were different skills. Some early groups may not have been able to reliably start another fire whenever they needed one. If the flames died during a storm, the group could lose warmth, light, protection, and the ability to cook food. Finding another flame in a soaked landscape might be impossible, so someone had to guard it. The fire could be moved deeper into the cave. Wet logs could be split open to expose dry wood. Small branches protected beneath thick trees might still burn. Too little fuel, and the flames faded. Too much wet fuel, and smoke filled the shelter. For hours, perhaps through the night, someone may have watched every ember. Thousands of years later, Otzi the Iceman was found carrying flint, tinder, and fungus for making fire. Even then, fire was important enough to require backup equipment. Once the flames were stable, another problem appeared. Nobody could leave. The hunt was canceled. Gathering plants was dangerous. Traveling across flooded ground could be fatal. So ancient humans did something that became one of our greatest advantages. They made things. Prehistoric caves contain finished blades, unfinished tools, and thousands of tiny stone flakes concentrated in specific areas. These were ancient workstations. Someone sat near the fire, selected a stone, and removed one fragment at a time. A single mistake could destroy hours of work. A storm provided the patience and time this required. Stone tools were only the beginning. At Blombos Cave in South Africa, archaeologists discovered evidence that humans processed ochre around 100,000 years ago. Pigment was ground into powder and mixed inside shells using prepared tools. This was organized production. People also shaped bone into thin needles that could sew fitted clothing, repair hides, and improve protection from cold weather. A bone needle requires time, light, and a steady hand. Rain gave people that time. The same may have been true for one of humanity's most underrated inventions: string. Ancient twisted fibers have been discovered at prehistoric sites, and carved tools may have helped people produce stronger cord. String could attach stone points to wooden shafts, bind shelters together, repair clothing, create nets, and build traps. It transformed separate objects into machines. A sharp rock became a spear, branches became a roof, a hide became a bag. Twisting fibers into cord was slow, repetitive work, the perfect task while waiting for a storm to end. Ancient shelters were not only workshops, people also made them comfortable. At Sibudu Cave in South Africa, researchers found plant bedding dating back tens of thousands of years. Grass and leaves were arranged into sleeping surfaces, and some plants may have helped repel insects. The bedding was sometimes burned and replaced, possibly to remove dirt and pests. Ancient humans were cleaning their living spaces and turning shelters into homes. Then something even more remarkable appeared on cave walls: art. Across Europe and Asia, and on islands such as Sulawesi, humans painted animals, handprints, and mysterious symbols. Some were created tens of thousands of years ago. The animals curved, stretched, and turned as if they were moving. The artists understood them because they had spent their lives watching them. But many paintings were deep underground. People squeezed through narrow passages, entered complete darkness, and carried small lamps to reach them. Perhaps the images were connected to ceremonies, stories, spiritual beliefs, or lessons about dangerous animals. We cannot prove cave art was created during storms. But bad weather gave creativity one thing it has always needed: time. When people could not hunt or travel, their attention moved inward. They remembered, experimented, and turned images from memory into marks on stone. And the most important thing created during those evenings may have left no physical evidence: stories. Imagine 20 people trapped together while rain pounds outside. The tools are repaired, the clothing is sewn, the fire is stable. What happens next? People talk. Older hunters explain how animals behave. Gatherers describe safe plants. Someone teaches a child where water remains during the dry season. Another remembers a valley filled with useful stone. Experiences become warnings. Warnings become lessons. Lessons become stories. Around the fire, knowledge moves from one mind to another. Research on modern hunter-gatherer communities suggests that evening fire conversations often become more imaginative and social than daytime conversations. People tell stories, sing songs, and discuss events beyond the immediate camp. The fire became one of humanity's earliest classrooms, theaters, and social networks. Rain may have made those gatherings last longer. Children could watch experts work. Adults could repeat important stories. The group's shared memory became stronger. Rainy days were not empty time. They were transmission time. Eventually, the storm stopped, and when humans stepped outside, the rain that had trapped them could now help them. Fresh mud preserved clear animal footprints. A skilled tracker could identify the species, direction, and speed of an animal. Water collected in rocks. Tubers became easier to dig. Mushrooms appeared. Insects emerged. In tropical regions, termite swarms often followed rain, creating a rich source of food that required almost no hunting equipment. The storm had not destroyed the food supply. It had changed the menu. The groups that understood these patterns left their shelters prepared. Their tools were sharper, their clothing was repaired, their knowledge had been refreshed, and the ground outside was covered in new information. So, what did ancient humans do when it rained all day? They protected the fire, keeping them alive. They sharpened tools, twisted fibers into cord, repaired clothing, and created cleaner places to sleep. They mixed pigments, painted images, and passed survival knowledge from the old to the young. Then, when the clouds separated, they followed fresh tracks into a landscape filled with new water, plants, and food. Rain did not simply pause prehistoric life. It changed the kind of work humans performed. On clear days, they explored the world outside. During storms, they developed the world inside their shelters and inside their minds. Perhaps that is one hidden reason humans became so creative. We learned to turn delay into preparation, confinement into community, and danger into invention. Because when rain hammered the cave entrance and darkness moved closer, ancient humans did not have the luxury of being bored. Their survival depended on what they could build, teach, or imagine before the fire went out.